Slavery never ended, it just evolved. In 2025, you're not controlled by physical chains but by debt that dictates where you work, where you live, what risks you can take, and what dreams you can pursue. The banking system has perfected a form of control more effective than any historical slavery because you volunteered for it. You maintain it through monthly payments, and you defend it as normal because everyone around you is trapped in the same system. This isn't metaphor or exaggeration when your decisions are constrained by debt obligations. When you can't quit a job you hate because you need the income to service loans. When you can't start a business or move to a new city because debt chains you to your current situation. You're not free. You're a debt slave. Here's what makes modern debt slavery so insidious. It's invisible. Historical slavery was obvious: physical bondage, visible oppression, clear captors. But debt slavery hides behind terms like financial responsibility, building credit, and the American dream. You take on a mortgage, car loans, credit cards, student debt, and suddenly your life isn't yours anymore. Your labor belongs to the banking system that holds your debt. You work Monday through Friday not to build your own wealth, but to service interest payments on money that was created from nothing. The average American spends 35% of their income on debt payments that's not free time. That's enslaved time. You're working over 14 hours per week just to pay banks for the privilege of having borrowed their created-from-nothing money. And in 2025, the control has intensified to levels previous generations never experienced. The banking system now monitors every transaction, controls your access to housing and employment through credit scores, manipulates your economic behavior through interest rate adjustments, and has positioned debt as so normal, so necessary, that people compete to take on more of it. Student loan debt hits $1.7 trillion. Mortgage debt exceeds $12 trillion. Credit card debt passes $1 trillion. These aren't just numbers, they're chains binding hundreds of millions to a life of servitude. Stick with me, and I'll show you exactly how the debt system controls every aspect of your life in 2025, why this modern slavery is more complete than any historical version, and what understanding this control means for any hope of freedom. Ready to see the chains you've been wearing your whole life? Let's expose the slavery hiding in plain sight. Let's start with the most fundamental form of control. Debt converts your future labor into present profit for banks, effectively making you work for them whether you realize it or not. When you take a $300,000 mortgage, you're not just borrowing money, you're committing 30 years of your labor to the bank. Based on your income, they've calculated that you can afford approximately $1,800 monthly, which over 30 years equals $648,000 in total payments. That's $348,000 in interest alone, representing thousands of hours of your life, decades of your productive capacity, all converted into bank profit. You think you're working for your employer? But a massive portion of your labor actually belongs to the banking system. The Sabio Observer recognizes that this isn't a loan. In any traditional sense, it's indentured servitude with extra steps. In historical contexts, indentured servants worked for years to pay off passage to America or debts owed. Modern debt slavery works the same way but extends across your entire working life. You can't just quit your job and walk away, you have debt obligations that must be serviced. You can't reduce your hours or take time off to pursue other interests, the mortgage payment is due regardless. You can't move to a lower cost of living area or change careers easily. Debt payments lock you into income requirements. The bank doesn't need to physically chain you to a desk. Debt does it far more effectively because you police your own servitude, showing up to work every day to keep the payments flowing. And here's where the control becomes truly comprehensive. The banking system has structured debt to be unavoidable for modern life. Want housing? You need a mortgage because they've inflated real estate prices beyond what normal wages can save for. Want education? You need student loans because they've let tuition explode to impossible levels. Want transportation to get to work? You need a car loan because cities are designed around automobile dependency. Want to handle emergencies? You need credit cards because wages don't cover the cost of living plus savings. At every turn, the economic system pushes you toward debt, and once you have it, your labor belongs to servicing it. The financial elite owns your productive capacity through debt obligations, and you spend decades working not for yourself, but to keep the interest payments flowing to them. This labor control is just the beginning of how debt enslaves you in 2025. Now let's expose how the banking system uses credit scores as a comprehensive control mechanism that determines your access to housing, employment, insurance, and basic economic participation. Your credit score is a 3-digit number calculated by private corporations using algorithms they won't fully disclose, and this number controls more of your life than any single document. Want to rent an apartment? Landlord checks your credit score. Want a job? Many employers check credit scores, especially for financial positions. Want insurance? Your rates are partially determined by credit scores. Want to buy a house? Get utilities. Connected, lease a car, credit score, credit score, credit score. The system has made this number essential for modern life. And what determines that number? Your relationship with debt. Here's the insidious control mechanism. Credit scores aren't measures of financial responsibility. They're measures of debt compliance. Pay off all your debt and have no loans? Your score drops because you're not actively managing credit. Never take on debt in the first place? Your credit invisible with a terrible score. The system doesn't reward being debt-free. It rewards being in perpetual debt while making minimum payments on time. You're literally scored on how compliant you are as a debtor, how profitable you are to the banking system. Miss one payment because of an emergency? Your score craters and you're punished for years. Stay in perpetual debt paying interest forever? Your score is excellent and you get more offers to borrow. The incentive structure is designed to keep you in debt, because that's when you're most controllable and profitable, and the control extends into every corner of your life. Bad credit means you can't get housing in decent neighborhoods, trapping you in expensive, low-quality options. Bad credit means employers won't hire you, keeping you in low-wage jobs that make escaping debt harder. Bad credit means higher insurance rates, higher utility deposits, worse loan terms if you can get credit at all. It's a comprehensive control system that keeps you trapped. Debt damages your credit. Bad credit limits your economic opportunities. Limited opportunities force you to take on more expensive debt, which further damages your credit. The cycle is designed to be inescapable, and your 3-digit score is the chain they use to control your access to modern economic life. In 2025, this credit score slavery has become so normalized that people obsess over optimizing their scores, trying to be better slaves to the debt system rather than escaping it entirely. But the control goes even deeper when you look at how debt affects your life decisions. Let's examine how debt slavery extends beyond just labor and credit scores to control your fundamental life decisions, your relationships, your health, and your future possibilities. When you carry significant debt, every major life decision gets filtered through the question: can I afford the payments? Want to quit your toxic job? You can't. Debt obligations demand steady income. Want to start a business or pursue entrepreneurship? Too risky debt payments can't wait for business to become profitable. Want to have children? That's expensive debt is already consuming your income. Want to move to a new city or country? Debt anchors you in place. The life you could have lived, the risks you could have taken, the dreams you could have pursued, all sacrificed on the altar of debt service. The Sabio Observer sees how this creates a permanent underclass that works for the financial elite through debt obligations. People stay in jobs they hate for decades because debt makes them risk-averse. Marriages stay together or fall apart based on debt-stress. Financial problems from debt are the leading cause of divorce in America. People delay having children or don't have them at all because student loans and housing costs make it unaffordable. Young people can't pursue creative careers, start businesses, or take chances because they're $50,000, $100,000, $200,000 in debt before they're 25. The banking system doesn't just take your money, it takes your potential, your possibilities, your very life trajectory, and constrains it to the narrow path that ensures debt payments keep flowing. And here's the ultimate control. Debt destroys generational wealth building, ensuring that each generation starts from scratch or worse. Your parents couldn't help you with college because they were paying their own debts. You can't help your children because you're paying student loans, mortgage, and credit cards. Wealth that could have been built and passed down gets extracted as interest payments to banks instead. Meanwhile, the financial elite who understand this system avoid debt, use other people's labor through debt obligations, and accumulate generational wealth that compounds across centuries. In 2025, this wealth gap driven by debt slavery has created a neo-feudal system, a small class that owns assets and extracts wealth through debt, and a massive class that works to service debt they'll never fully escape. The cost of living keeps rising, wages stay stagnant, and debt becomes the only way to maintain lifestyle, creating deeper enslavement with every generation. This isn't an accident. It's the debt system functioning exactly as designed. And until you see these chains clearly, you can't even begin to break them. So there it is, laid bare. Debt slavery in 2025 is more complete, more controlling, and more inescapable than any historical slavery, because it's maintained through your own choices, in a system designed to leave you no real choice at all. Your labor belongs to banks through interest payments. Your opportunities are controlled through credit scores. Your life decisions are constrained by debt obligations, and this enslavement is so normalized, so pervasive, that people compete to prove their worthiness for more chains, celebrating the approval for mortgages and car loans that will control their lives for decades. The question you have to answer now is uncomfortable but essential. Are you going to keep pretending you're free while debt dictates every major decision in your life? Or are you going to confront the reality that you're enslaved by the banking system, that your labor profits them more than you, that the American dream they sold you is actually a trap that converts your entire productive life into their wealth? Because the first step to any kind of freedom is seeing the chains. You can't break what you won't acknowledge, and every month you carry debt, every payment you make, every life decision you abandon because I can't afford it with my debt obligations. That's slavery functioning. Here's what I need you to do this week. Calculate your debt-to-freedom ratio. Add up all your monthly debt payments, mortgage, car, credit cards, student loans, everything. Divide that by your monthly income. That percentage is how much of your labor belongs to the banking system. If it's 35%, you're working until Thursday afternoon every week just for banks. Write that down. Sit with it. Feel the weight of those chains. Then ask yourself, what would my life look like if that 35% of my labor belonged to me instead? What could I do? What risks could I take? What dreams could I pursue? That's the cost of debt slavery, not just money, but life itself. And if this video made you see the chains you've been wearing, if you now understand that debt isn't financial responsibility, but modern enslavement, subscribe to this channel right now. Because the next video is crucial. I'm going to show you how to break these chains, specific strategies for escaping debt slavery, and how to build a life where your labor belongs to you, not to banks. The system wants you enslaved. The question is, are you ready to fight for freedom?